financial problems, elder law, criminal law, tax problems, business matters, divorce, personal injury, bankruptcy, your life, your reality. Life is complicated. There is the law and there is reality. Welcome to Law and Reality, sponsored by THAV GROSS. Now here's your host, Ken Gross.
Welcome to this segment of Law and Reality. Today's topic is using Chapter 13 to save your home and control the IRS. Good morning, Brian Small.
Good morning, Ken. I think there should be some like ominous music or something in the background when you say IRS, especially since it's coming up on tax.
Ed Simasco, good morning. How are you?
Good. The topic before this was how to fix my computer.
That was an extended topic. I can tell you, our filming is beginning a little bit in arrears today because of technical issues. But Brian, we're glad to have you here.
Yeah, probably throwing my mouse wasn't such a good idea, but.
Oh, that's right. Quick session on that. Pat, have you ever had a temper tantrum at your computer, smashed your keyboard, thrown the keyboard, thrown the mouse, anything like that?
No, I've had it at my office where I had a few other things I smashed and threw on the ground a couple times, but not so much my computer.
Brian, what about you?
Just today, the mouse went flying across the room in frustration. Yes.
I'm guilty of crushing a couple of keyboards over the years.
I'm sure you have in the past.
But the best was David Einstein, who used to be one of our partners, and he did it one day, and as he pounded his hands down in the keyboard, all the keys like popped out of this thing, that the covers had popped out and flew up in the air. And I said, oh, that was effective. Okay, let's talk about Chapter 13. Before we get into the specifics, Brian, give us the basics of Chapter 13. What does it do? How does it work?
So Chapter 13 is a form of bankruptcy. It's structured reorganization over time where you repay some or all of your creditors, some or all of the money that you owe them over 3 to 5 years. It allows you to restructure your debt, pay at a level you can afford, instead of paying what everybody wants you to pay. Because as we all know, there's only so many cookies in the cookie jar, and you got to make them last. So that's what Chapter 13 does for you.
What are your primary uses for 13? Is this the one you use to stop foreclosure, or is this the one you use to get rid of your debt?
Yes, that's the great news. It does all of that.
As opposed to Chapter 7.
Right. Well, Chapter 7 does one major thing. It eliminates debt that is dischargeable. Chapter 13 eliminates debt that is dischargeable, and it allows you to restructure, catch up on your house that's facing foreclosure, catch up on your property taxes that are facing foreclosure, restructure your car loan. If you're paying 25% interest on a car loan, we can get it down to the going market rate. We can do all sorts of things with Chapter 13. The concept is that it allows you to manipulate the way you pay everybody and utilize the payment that you can afford rather than the payment that the creditors want you to pay.
So what about, I've heard that you can use 13 for a bad car loan. How does that work?
Okay, so let's say your car, which in today's day right now, cars are actually, used cars are worth considerably more than they have been in the past. But in general, let's say your car is worth $10,000 and you still owe that credit company $18,000 and you're paying it 25% interest because you had bad credit.
Like one of those credit acceptance deals where they don't tell you that it's 25% interest, but it turns out.
Well, whether they tell you or not, people tend to be in a position where they have to have a car because there is no good public transportation in Michigan. And so therefore, you're at the mercy of who will lend you money so that you can get back on the road. And it's not fair, but you are stuck. So what Chapter 13 does is it puts fairness back into the picture. It lets us lower the interest rate to the fair market value of the interest right now, and it lets us lower the car value. You pay what the car is worth. So if it's worth 10 and you owe 18, we only have to pay $10,000 for the car.
So if I'm paying
25% interest, I can lower it to 6% interest.
If I'm paying 25% interest on the loan and I owe 20,000 on the loan and the car is worth 10, what happens?
We pay 10,000 for the car and we lower the interest rate probably to somewhere between 5 and 7%.
That's a good deal. And then how does Chapter 13 work to stop foreclosure? Isn't that the biggest reason why people file Chapter 13?
It is the most significant reason. It's not the only reason, but if you file a Chapter 13 before the foreclosure sale, before the sheriff auctions your house, that Chapter 13 allows you up to 5 years to catch up on what you've fallen behind. So we have a whole litany of people that fell behind during the pandemic who were gonna theoretically get offers to modify their mortgage from the mortgage lender that didn't happen. And suddenly we went in the Detroit metropolitan area from having no foreclosures to January 1, the foreclosure moratorium ended, and we're seeing foreclosures in numbers that I weren't there since 2008, 2009.
So you're saying foreclosures have begun again?
Oh, not just begun. They're steamrolling through Detroit.
So the key takeaway on that point, because we're coming up to a break, is you must file that Chapter 13 before the sale date, right?
100%. And when you file it before the sale date, it stops the foreclosure and gives you 5 years to catch up and adjust your mortgage instead of the 10 seconds that the lender wants.
Plus, you can do the same thing if you're facing foreclosure on property taxes, right?
Yeah, property taxes, it gives you 5 years to catch up also.
Because March is the month where your ending date occurs on property tax foreclosures. So if you're facing that, you need to take action, file that Chapter 13 before the last deadline, before that judgment enters. All right, let's take a break. We'll come back. We'll do a case study.
Tax problems are major problems. Don't let the IRS levy your wages and seize your assets. There is a solution.
We're THAV GROSS. Our firm will solve your problem.
If you're behind on your taxes and owe money to the IRS, call THAV GROSS.
We've been solving tax problems for 32 years. We stop wage levies, resolve unfiled returns, and obtain the best possible settlements.
Call THAV GROSS today, 888-235-HELP. Is the debt piling up? Struggling to get by?
It's all about preserving future income. Bankruptcy is one option. When it's right, it's the least costly, most effective way to save your home, eliminate a second mortgage, and wipe out credit card debt. But you need to address the problem now.
We help people with bankruptcy. Call the experts.
We're THAV GROSS. Our firm will solve your problem.
888-235-HELP. That's 888-235-HELP.
I was married for 57 years before my husband died.
Simasco Law had established a trust for them before this happened.
There's so much to do in the beginning, but after about a month, you're kind of alone.
We deal with estate planning and trusts every day.
If you continue to have good support and know that your finances and your estate is in order, that's one thing that's so comforting. I would just highly recommend Simasco Law.
You can't work. You have to deal with pain and stress. Worse yet, our system for applying for disability benefits seeks to deny you the benefits you're entitled. Jeff Kirschner is an expert in obtaining disability and workers' compensation benefits for his clients. You need to call Jeff before you apply or after you're denied to get the benefits you deserve. 888-235-HELP. 888-235-HELP. If you're retired and in a financial crisis, there is a way out.
It pains me when I see a retired couple exhaust their savings by paying credit card bills and for a home hopelessly underwater.
THAV GROSS specializes in helping retired people in financial crisis.
You just can't keep paying until you're broke. You need to address the problem now.
888-235-HELP. That's 888-235-HELP.
We're THAV Gross. Our firm will solve your problem.
Carrying too much debt? Resolve your debt. Call THAV GROSS.
You don't need to be broke, and you don't need to hit rock bottom. If you have income and you're struggling with debt, dump it. Think about the next 10 or 20 years. If you do what the banks tell you, you'll have nothing to retire with. There is a solution.
Don't waste your future. Call THAV GROSS. We're experts at eliminating credit card debt. 888-235-HELP. That's 888-235-HELP.
All right, so we're back. All right, now before we do the case study, Brian.
Wait, before I got something to say, we had a big problem last segment. I didn't get a chance to say one word in that whole segment.
I know, and it was a beautiful segment.
It was, I don't know if that's better or not. You know, the funny thing, I had a client come in yesterday who is the court officer that literally takes the furniture out of the people's houses when they get evicted and they leave the house. And he says that he was dead for the last 2 years, and now it's finally starting to heat back up on his business.
Because there was a moratorium on those foreclosures. You couldn't do anything.
Yeah.
I'm picturing Pat. You're talking to him, and he's going like this, like Newman from Seinfeld, saying, "Now I'm back in business. I can take."
Well, yeah.
You know, Pat. You make with that comment, you actually make a very good point. When you face an eviction, or and you're being evicted after a foreclosure, or you're being evicted after you've you're actually being removed from the apartment, if it's an apartment eviction, it is extraordinarily traumatic. And the bankruptcy process in and of itself can stop all those things from occurring, even if in the long run you are still going to vacate the premises. The difference to your psyche by it being you moving and not having somebody stick your stuff out on the street where it gets ruined is incredibly beneficial. So the psychological benefit of filing a bankruptcy, rather than it being a trauma, can be a bonus and can be a help. So
it really is when you look at it from the tenant standpoint, but you're also looking at these cases like these are monster conglomerate rental companies. A lot of them are the mom and dads that have that one house that they inherited from grandma and they never sold it, and they have the one tenant in there, and they can't evict them, and they can't make their mortgage payments now because they can't. So it's this real
There's two sides to that equation.
Yeah.
But Brian, I agree with you on the tenant side, you control your destiny by filing the chapter, by filing the bankruptcy, even if you're going to move out. Whereas without bankruptcy protection, they're controlling you. The court process dictates what happens, and you become kind of on the victim side. There's nothing worse than having your belongings put on the street. That's like, I think, the ultimate insult, really.
And even Chapter 7 stops the eviction process and gives you the time to control things for you. So those opportunities do exist. Now,
all right, so let's do a case. Before
IRS
the segment, but what about IRS? How does Chapter 13 work to stop IRS?
So IRS, the income taxes are dischargeable if they are at least 3 years old, the tax returns have been filed for 2 years, and you haven't been assessed in the previous 8 months. So Chapter 13 will pay the IRS just like a credit card, as little as 0 cents on the dollar for those older taxes. And for the taxes that are less than 3 years old, they're called priority taxes, and those taxes will be paid in full over 5 years. But it stops the interest from accruing, it stops the penalties from accruing, and it gives you the time to pay it rather than the IRS levying your paycheck or seizing your assets or seizing your bank account. Again, Chapter 13 forces whatever creditor it is to work with you. It doesn't ask, it forces. And that's the beauty of it.
So let's take Daryl and Amanda. They're in their late 40s. They have 2 kids. They make $80,000 a year combined. They got a house worth $190,000. They have a mortgage of $160,000. So there's some equity there. They have one purchased car. They've got furnishings of $20,000. They got cash in the bank. They got liabilities. Credit cards, $70,000. Medical bills, $15,000. They owe taxes from 2019 at $20,000. They owe taxes from 2020 at $5,000. Their monthly budget. They got their net cash coming in on their paychecks is $5,333 a month. Mortgage payments $1,600. Property taxes $400. The credit card payments are $1,750 a month. Utilities $500. Cell phone $250. Daryl's car payment is $700. Amanda's is $400 on her lease car. Gas $400. Food $1,000. IRS payments on their taxes they're behind $425. Their outgoing is $74.25, so they're $2,000 in the red every month. That's why the credit cards are at $70,000. How does this work for them? Give us a rundown. What do we do for them?
So we're going to look at whether they qualify for Chapter 7 or Chapter 13. And in this case, because of the tax liabilities that they have and the fact that a bankruptcy will be beneficial, we're going to take their previous tax return liabilities for 20 and 19, and we're going to pay that in full over 5 years at 0% interest. Okay, so there's $25,000 over 60 months. We need $417 a month to take care of their tax problem. We have Daryl's car. Daryl's car that he owes $20,000 on that happens to be worth $13,000. We can take,
how much is it worth?
Say it's worth 13, okay? Not an unrealistic concept. We take that same $13,000 and we divide that out over 60, and we can basically, with interest, probably lower his car payment from $700 to about $250.
That's great.
So by doing that, and we stop paying the credit cards, we create a pool of money that's available to restructure and pay the credit card debt, nothing, the IRS in full, and Daryl's car off over the 5 years in the Chapter 13.
Let's take a break, and I want to slow it down, and I want you to walk us through that a little bit more carefully as we go through it. We'll be back after the break.
Carrying too much debt? Resolve your debt. Call THAV GROSS.
You don't need to be broke, and you don't need to hit rock bottom. If you have income and you're struggling with debt, dump it. Think about the next 10 or 20 years. If you do what the banks tell you, you'll have nothing to retire with. There is a solution.
Don't waste your future. Call THAV GROSS. We're experts at eliminating credit card debt. 888-235-HELP. That's 888-235-HELP. Tax problems are major problems. Don't let the IRS levy your wages and seize your assets. There is a solution.
We're THAV GROSS. Our firm will solve your problem.
If you're behind on your taxes and owe money to the IRS, call THAV GROSS.
We've been solving tax problems for 32 years. We stop wage levies, resolve unfiled returns, and obtain the best possible settlements.
Call THAV GROSS today, 888-235-HELP.
Pat was recommended by a friend who insisted that we really needed a trust. And he said, I know somebody who will do a good job for you.
At Simasco Law, we deal with estate planning and trusts every day.
We had excellent service from Simasco Law. Any questions we had were addressed. Our estate is in order, and it had been set up so well that nothing needed to be done. I would just highly recommend Simasco Law.
Time for announcements. I want to remind our viewers to listen to us for Law and Reality Live on the Praise Network, Tuesdays 10 o'clock a.m., Saturdays 7 o'clock a.m., and on KISS 105.9, Sundays 7 o'clock a.m. Remember, you can always come in for a free consultation via teleconference, in office. You know, we're COVID smart, but we can do it in the office, or we can do it through Zoom or on the telephone, whatever makes you most comfortable. Just call 888-235-HELP or go online and sign up. We cover debt issues, tax issues, estate planning issues, business issues, elder law issues with Pat, disability issues with Jeff. Again, just sign up at lawandreality.com or call 888-235-HELP. That's 888-235-HELP. Also, go online for our free reports, Resolving Tax Problems, The Real Solutions by Ken Gross and Jeff Linden, Bankruptcy, Is It Right for Me by Brian Small, How to Save Your Home from Foreclosure, Business Formations, Loans and Grants for Small Businesses in Detroit and Michigan, and The Retiree's Guide to Social Security from Pat Simasko. I want to thank our sponsors, THAV GROSS, Simasko Law, and Kirshner Law. Now, back to the show.
You can't work. You have to deal with pain and stress. Worse yet, our system for applying for disability benefits seeks to deny you the benefits you're entitled. Jeff Kirshner is an expert in obtaining disability and workers' compensation benefits for his clients. You need to call Jeff before you apply or after you're denied to get the benefits you deserve. 888-235-HELP. 888-235-HELP. Is the debt piling up? Struggling to get by?
It's all about preserving future income. Bankruptcy is one option. When it's right, it's the least costly, most effective way to save your home, eliminate a second mortgage, and wipe out credit card debt. But you need to address the problem now.
We help people with bankruptcy. Call the experts.
We're THAV GROSS. Our firm will solve your problem.
888-235-HELP. That's 888-235-HELP. If you're retired and in a financial crisis, there is a way out.
It pains me when I see a retired couple exhaust their savings by paying credit card bills and for a home hopelessly underwater.
THAV GROSS specializes in helping retired people in financial crisis.
You just can't keep paying until you're broke. You need to address the problem now.
888-235-HELP. That's 888-235-HELP.
We're THAV GROSS. Our firm will solve your problem.
We were just spinning. We just didn't know what was going to happen next.
At Simasko Law, we deal with these issues every day, especially elder law. Pat went to work for Fran.
Patrick was there holding my hand, kept saying, "We'll get through this, we'll get through this."
He got her husband Medicaid and in a nursing home. Simasko Law got the success they deserved.
Simasko Law is definitely family to me. I really appreciate knowing all of you.
Carrying too much debt? Resolve your debt. Call THAV GROSS.
You don't need to be broke, and you don't need to hit rock bottom. If you have income and you're struggling with debt, dump it. Think about the next 10 or 20 years. If you do what the banks tell you, you'll have nothing to retire with. There is a solution.
Don't waste your future. Call THAV GROSS. We're experts at eliminating credit card debt. 888-235-HELP. That's 888-235-HELP.
Okay, we're back. So, Brian, let me see if I summarize where we're at so far. What you're saying is, in the Chapter 13, he will pay off, Daryl will actually get this lower payment and pay the house off over the course of the 5 years.
You mean pay
Not
the
the
IRS.
house, the car. Okay,
The
so the
car
car's
will be paid
gone.
in full, and he'll own his car. The IRS obligation, which was priority, meaning it had to be paid back, will be paid in full. The credit cards will receive 0 cents on the dollar effectively.
So after the 13, he's going to go from 2,092 in the red, Daryl and Amanda, to 783 positive. That's
Yes.
almost $3,000 swing. All right, now I'm going to.
This is a spot for a dramatic thing. 0.0.
Mr. Blutarski.
There you go.
That's
Now, let me shuffle the deck again and play some more cards. In addition to everything that was going on, I forgot to tell you, they are also 5 months behind on their mortgage and property taxes. How does that fit into the fold? Can they still make this all work in a Chapter 13?
Yeah, so let's just use $10,000 is what their arrears are, whether it's property taxes or mortgage or both.
So that's $10,000. Yeah.
That's $783 is a little bit short then, okay? Because we need to find actually about $70 more in their budget to fix the whole problem. We can fix pay off the IRS, have Daryl keep his car and pay it off, and catch the house up.
So what do you just trim the food budget by $700?
Well, in this case, maybe a little bit of tightening, but $70 is not a massive amount when we're trying to catch up $10,000 over 5 years.
Can you always find $70?
Can we always find $70? I wish we could always find $70, but the answer is people will do what is necessary to keep the roof over their head. And if we had to, we might have to get rid of something else. Maybe we had to, like a worst case scenario, we could always give a car back and buy a used car for cash.
Like get rid of Amanda's car. Get rid of Amanda's $400 a month lease payment.
Could do that too. There's different ways to fix the problem. The priority is always keep the roof over the head of the client, because cars can be obtained. You may not be driving your Cadillac anymore, but by God, you're going to be driving something. And so we have to prioritize. And we all know the IRS wants to get paid no matter what. And so, but sometimes we can even manipulate the IRS. Maybe we have to wait another 6 months to file, as long as we're not facing an impending foreclosure. So we balance everything and come up with the right answer for each person.
All right, so in this scenario, let's kind of summarize the whole thing. You could have $25,000 behind in taxes. You got $70,000 in credit card debt. You're 5 months behind on your mortgage payment, which is $10,000. Your budget is negative $2,100 a month. You could file a Chapter 13, have time to catch up on the house payment, pay the credit card zero, pay off the tax debt to IRS during the course of the period, which means you're using the money that would have gone to the credit cards. Instead, you're giving it to IRS, who has to get paid, whereas the credit cards don't have to get paid. You get to reduce your car payment from $725 down to $250 and pay that off during the course of the Chapter 13. At the end of the 13, you're $800 a month plus on your budget. You have no car payment on Daryl's car and zero credit card debt. That is a super deal.
And you know what? The reality is that's really what happens. It's not a joke. We're not making up these facts for the show. The reality is that's a normal situation that walks through my door every day.
So this is not one of those, if it sounds too good to be true, then it's not true.
No, this is what Chapter 13 does. It forces your creditors to work with you.
It is a good plan. That's the game plan. If you're facing foreclosure, behind in taxes, Chapter 7 eliminates debt. Chapter 13 buys you the time. One remedy is better than the other. It depends on the circumstances. Have a great week. We'll be back next week with Law and Reality.